All right, what's going on, everyone? This channel is going to be based around a personal journey that I have just started as of 24 hours ago. I'm going to kind of explain this journey. It's a health journey, kind of a physical, mental health, and well-being journey that I've embarked on um, as a 30-year-old father of one about to be two coming in August. Uh, this is going to be kind of a introduction into my journey as it relates to both physical health regarding things like TRT, which I've just started, as well as coping mentally with anxiety, depression, things along those lines. It's not a medical advice channel. This is not meant to give any medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but this is simply a here's where I've been, here's where I'm at now, and here's kind of where I'm going based upon what decisions. And I'm going to kind of break through um, everything that has been involved into making the decisions I've made. So, kind of to back up to the beginning of this. Um, my basic demographics in this is that I'm a 30-year-old male. Uh, I am a father of currently one daughter. I'm about to have a second daughter coming in August, which plays a big role in some of these decisions I've made, and we'll talk about that. I've been married for going on 9 years roughly, um, and kind of some things that have been happening was about the last year and a half to 2 years roughly. Now that I start reflecting, um, I started facing challenges physically and mentally. Growing up, I was an athlete, played a variety of sports. Um, Nothing crazy, was decent in everything, but I was always active. Even going into college, I stayed physically active, running, lifting weights, things along those lines. I was always relatively lean for the most part. I had a couple of months here and there that led me to have increased weight gain. Roughly going into my freshman year of college, I gained some weight, but then midway through freshman year, I lost a lot of weight, actually became anorexic to the point where I would faint periodically due to being energy deficient, as we'll call it, which then led me really getting into fitness, working out, eating right, things like that as I proceeded throughout my undergraduate studies. So there's that component where I have a baseline of I've been exercising, running, lifting weights, sports for over 10 years now, consistently at that. Once I started, I never stopped. It's always been a consistent part of my life. I've been a personal trainer. I'm currently a athletic trainer, so I have a master's degree in sports medicine and athletic training. And so, knowledge of this is pretty frequent of things with anxiety, depression, and then health, fitness, and energy deficiency. Um, and so with this journey, kind of what happened was about a year and a half to 2 years ago, um, I started noticing changes that I didn't think were anything special. One of those being, I was just talking to my wife. One of those being, I started getting really cold all the time, which was weird for me. I grew up in the Texas Panhandle where it gets really cold. It's always really windy. I thought maybe I was just getting used to moving to the city life. I live in the suburbs outside of Dallas, Texas now, so not quite as cold over here all the time. Definitely not as windy as the Texas Panhandle. So I thought maybe it was that. No big deal. I also started noticing things like I never got sick really growing up, and then I started getting sick a lot recently. Sick a lot. I started getting like weird rashes and stuff over the last year and a half or so, and never thought anything of it. Just thought, you know, I was 28 going into 29. I thought maybe I was just getting old, even though, we all know that's not old whatsoever. Um, and then about January of last year, um, I got hit with some wild stuff. It was kind of ignorant on my part, but I had a broken tooth that I was working with a doctor. He's a good friend of mine. I won't name him, but he knows who he is. So if you see this, I love you. I was working with a doctor, and he had mentioned something to me one time. He said, Forrest, there's this crazy thing called Ludwig's angina. It's a very rare phenomena that can happen whenever you have something like a broken tooth, something that gets infected, and if it stays infected for too long, it can cause this. It doesn't matter. It's a very rare phenomena. He wasn't telling me that was going to happen to me, but he was trying to get the point across of like, dude, you need to go get this thing fixed. And I laughed about it, like, dude, yeah, whatever, you're crazy. He was an emergency medicine doctor, so like he knew these types of things. And again, he knew it wasn't happening to me. He wasn't telling me it was happening to me, but he just said it. So after that, something changed in me where, like, on a dime, I was waking up in the middle of the night, like, thinking I was having a stroke. Um, I drove myself to the hospital one time, literally checked myself into the emergency room saying, I'm having Ludwig's angina. And I told them, I'm like, look, I know it's crazy. It's probably not even true, but I just need you guys to check me out. Granted, I work in healthcare. So it was weird for the hospital staff to see this guy doing this. Like, dude, this guy's clearly fine. My average heart rate is 41 to 50 beats per minute, somewhere in that range. It's very low. I'm, like I said, very active. My blood pressure was fine. They could tell it was a little elevated because I was kind of aggravated. I was very anxious. They could tell. But at the end of the day, that whole thing wound up fine. But that just set off a long-term series of events where every day was a fight. And so for anybody out there that's kind of going through anxiety, depression, it's real. And as someone coming from a very competitive background who all I ever thought about was performance anxiety related to sport, where getting yourself psyched up from an anxious standpoint was a good thing for me, right? This was new. This was my arms. I would feel this tingling from down both my arms, where it was like I just felt like it was real stroke-like symptoms. I would get this burning and this throbbing in my chest, like I was about to have a heart attack. Even though knowing like what I know, I was like, it just doesn't make sense, but I felt real. Crippling. Again, I have a wife and a daughter, and this really affected them to where I was shook all the time, always shaken up, always looked like there was like a ghost haunting me. I would drive to work. Again, I worked with this doctor, and God bless him, he had to help me so much, just like so many times in between patients, getting patients in and out of rooms, examining, things like that. It was like I had to go leave and like catch my breath because it would just freak me out. There was no triggers. It was just all the time consistent. It was weird. And I started getting therapy, which again, big proponent of therapy. I love therapy. I'm a big proponent of it. And through therapy and I started actually getting into diving deeper into faith. So kind of, my testimony from that standpoint is if you're going through anxiety, I always recommend definitely do things like therapy, talk to people, find a professional. I'm not a big fan of the online therapies, but I found a in-person professional that I loved. She was fantastic. But through this, I really found faith. And so part of this journey that I'm on right now that I hope can I hope it encourages somebody somewhere is through this struggle, the constant feeling of like this impending doom of like something's going to get me, whether it's a heart attack, whether it's a stroke, whether it's, you name it, I thought of it, right? And it was, I started reading my Bible. We were going to church, things like that. And one day I was walking with my wife around our neighborhood. We were just going for a walk, and I'll never forget it. I'd been really experiencing a lot of brain fog, where I would just go through my day not at all sure about what I was saying, what I was doing. I just wasn't present. And maybe somebody out there can relate to that, where there was no presence about me. It was like an empty shell. I couldn't smile. I remember sitting in the pool with my daughter in the summertime. It was hot. I just didn't even know what was going on. I'm just sitting there with her. She's having a time of her life, and I can't move because I am so crippled. So anyways, we're on this walk, and I was having this brain fog, and I just remember, like, my favorite band growing up was Linkin Park, right? So I was thinking of Chester Bennington. I was like, man, I wonder if this is how he felt whenever he thought the world would be better if he wasn't around. Because I was like, I love my daughter, I love my wife, but there's something wrong with me, and it just feels like I just want it to stop. And I started thinking about, like, what does death look like? I feel like it's happening to me every day now. What does it really look like? And I just started thinking about that route of, like, what if I just ended it? What if I just caused all this to stop? Would it be better? Would it be better for my wife, for my daughter? And we got home from our walk, and I was thinking about this. I didn't really say much to my wife at all, but I was thinking about it the whole time we were walking. We get home, and I was working out in my garage, and I remember sitting there just thinking, like, okay, like, I really think I need to think more about this of, like, what does life look like if I'm not here? And what things should I prepare for my family to be okay if I'm not here? These were real thoughts, not like me whatsoever. And I remember I looked down at my phone, and I had been kind of doing this devotional by Louis Giglio on the Bible app called Putting an X Through Anxiety. I remember opening my phone, and it was on that screen. On that screen, it said, "You are not alone." And it was the most incredible moment, because in a flash, my my world just kind of opened up, where I felt love. I felt seen. I felt secure. And I really felt like Jesus himself was in that garage with me. And so, I understand, where is all this going to with this TRT stuff, right? This plays a big role into it, because before I've gotten to where I am now, he saved me. And Jesus saved me on that day. And nothing really got better. Let's put it that way. Even after I felt that love, that security, that presence, nothing got better. It actually was still terrible. But I felt like I was equipped to start handling it. There was still the depression, still the anxiety, still the tingling, but day by day after day, I was noticing I was coping better. Still absent in the home, still wasn't really present like I wish I was, but it was better. It was getting there, day in, day out, to the point of where I actually started getting weeks at a time where my hands weren't numb anymore. I was getting a little bit of motivation here and there. But that was to me was a win. Like, oh, there is days where it's better. So whenever it got bad, I knew there was going to be a better time. And I relied on that. And through that, my faith grew. My relationship with Jesus grew. I started taking my faith. Arguably the most serious thing in my life became faith, which has got me here, because, guys, whenever I was in it, I'm talking like I went to a doctor about this anxiety. I never wanted medications, not because I'm against the medications, but I'm like, I would like to try and get through this without medications first, and use medications as a last resort. And I went to a doctor, and they were just like, you know what, hey, this doctor I saw, she said, you know what, I'm just going to put you on blood pressure medication. My blood pressure was 132 over 86. That's elevated, by the way. That wasn't even like that's me walking in, immediately doing my height, immediately getting blood pressure done, which, like, most doctors' offices, they do. And if you know blood pressure, you understand that 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a high blood pressure reading if you just sit down and take it. You need to sit there for a longer amount of time. But this doctor gave me blood pressure medication based on that. And I was like, I don't think I need this. And she encouraged me, like, no, let's get a hold of this now. I was 29, not even 30 yet. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I'm still active, I'm still working out, right? So I go see another doctor. And this doctor was incredible up in Frisco. And this doctor was like, hey, honestly, Forrest, get off the blood pressure medication. I don't think you have high blood pressure. I think you have anxiety, and I don't think you should medicate. I think that you should continue therapy, and I think that you should just relax and just understand that you're a healthy young man, and you got a lot of life ahead of you. And these things will feel real, but they're not. I appreciated that. Not that I think anybody can just pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I don't think that really exists anymore. I really don't believe that. But the fact that he confirmed, like, you don't need to be on these blood pressure meds. Um, so after that appointment, I started questioning, like, okay, is there something else happening here? And for months, I started researching blood work, testosterone, hormones, thyroid, everything regarding that realm. I was like, okay, I feel like I should go get some blood work done. I had some blood work done by that first doctor that put me on blood pressure meds, but she didn't run any sort of hormone or vitamin panel. Um, so I'm curious what that would have been now looking back. But finally, after months of telling my wife, like, I think I need to go do this. I think I need to go do this. I went and got blood work done. And this time I got my testosterone done. And all this stuff is going to be posted. I'll try and post it here on YouTube, but I definitely am going to post it on my Instagram page, which that handle will be in the comments. So if you want to see it, I'm gonna post my blood work and everything, and we'll get more into that here in just a little bit. But I I got my blood work done, and everything looked pretty good actually. My thyroid looked fantastic, so that was great. Again, I'll post it. But my testosterone was like 240, 250. Free testosterone was like 6 or 5.7, like high fives, low sixes. Again, that'll get posted. I was like, interesting. Which we know, how big of a role in the male testosterone is, right? And so for me, now at this point I'm 30, right? So this is just a few months ago. Back in November, actually, was the first time, back in November of 2024. I was confused. Almost like, oh, okay. But like, why is my testosterone low? I'm 30. I exercise 5 to 6 days a week. If you know me, and I'll post more about my diet too. I actually eat really good. All the big trendy topics, right? Organic. Our beef is grass fed, grass finished. A lot of deer, elk, things like that. Like that's most of my diet. So it's weird that like in my head I'm like I'm doing all these things. A lot of eggs. I do like supplements, which I'll post all my supplements I take too. Again, not so that you should take them, but maybe it will just show you some insight of like what I'm doing. And I hope somewhere down the road this encourages, even if it's one person, I just pray this encourages somebody to explore more than just what your local doctor or the internet tells you, because there's so much information out there, and doctors' opinions, things like that, they are so on a spectrum, and that's not meant to dunk on any of them, but it's like anything else in life, right? Like there's always some good and there's always some bad, and I encourage you to really, again, that's where I found faith, right? I prayed through all of this. I fasted several times through this season of like, God, show me what I need. Like, what is it that I'm not here for my family for? I want that motivation because, again, I've always been a person that's on time, if not early. And now I'm very like sluggish. I don't wake up very well. Whereas I used to pop out of the bed at 4 a.m. every day just to have a cup of coffee. And I loved it. Now I can't hardly wake up at 4. It's very challenging. And my wife can attest to that. I went from no alarms to like 6 of them that my wife hates, and understandably so. I went from my workouts over time have just gotten progressively crappier and crappier. The intensity is lost, which I thought maybe that was related to me working out at home. So I went and got a gym membership for 4 months. Didn't make a difference. I've tried calories going up to increase energy, and I blew up like a balloon. I went from 197 average weight to 225 at my heaviest on 2,500 calories, which some you could fluctuate maybe plus or minus 200, give or take there, depending on like how I tracked it. Maybe there's some error there, but either way, it wasn't this drastic amount of calories I was eating. Like 3,000 plus. It was never that high. So for me to gain that much weight was confusing. I was always relatively lean for the most part, but I was getting really like chunky around my midsection, the chest area, things like that, and it was really confusing. So then to get this blood work and to start saying like, oh, my testosterone is low. Like, this is interesting. Why could this be? I'm doing all these things right. And the doctor I saw initially was like, hey, let's, you could start testosterone if you want to. And I was like, honestly, I really don't want to. I don't want to do something that potentially I will become dependent on, as most of us know by now. Once you start taking the exogenous testosterone, you eventually will become dependent on it, because you're telling your brain, like, you don't need this to make this anymore, so because I'm going to put it in there, right? And so I actually did about 12 weeks of HCG. Um, uh, I tried that instead. I knew that was an alternative for taking testosterone where it doesn't impact fertility, because my wife and I, we want more kids, which we had just gotten pregnant with our second daughter, who's coming in August, which there's a whole nother loop into this fiasco in my head of like, how did I just get my wife pregnant twice? No issues, by the way. Like, within a week of coming off of her implant birth control, pregnant. It was that quick. It really was. So it's like, what is happening that I have this low testosterone? I have these symptoms to match it: the fatigue, the anxieties, motivation was just drastically low. You know, and I can go on and on. You know, the only thing that never got affected, you know, just for clarification, is I never had like sex drive impairments or anything like in that department, which was also weird. Of like, I know a lot of people that have testosterone insufficiencies, or hypogonadal, I'll call it clinically, get like some sexual dysfunction here and there. I never had any of that, you know, but yet from the like psychological and physical standpoint, there was all these signs showing up. So I did HCG for about 12 weeks, and went and did more blood work. Actually, my testosterone went from 250 to 130. Went from 130. My free actually went up a little bit, which again, this all get posted. But I felt like crap still. I've been feeling like crap, which led me to where I'm at starting as of 24 hours ago. I've begun actual TRT with plans of still having kids in the future. Going into that segment here, which I'll probably make it into a second video. That's probably what I'll do. And so what I'll do is I'll make a second video talking about my protocol. Okay, so I'm going to end this one here as just a backstory / testimony of kind of who I am, where I've come from, and what's led me to starting TRT as of 24 hours ago. Okay, so if you're interested in following this journey, let's go. Like, hop on board with me. Let's talk about it. You know, I'm learning about all this stuff as I'm going along. I've done a lot of research prior to, but I'm still learning. And so this is not meant to give advice medically to anybody. This is just simply I was confused by all the opinions, by all the information that's out there. It's very confusing. It's also very expensive. Like visits, blood work, all these stuff. And depending on your insurance, you know, by the grace of God, we actually have good insurance. But some people don't. And so starting therapies like this can be very expensive and financially very taxing. And so it's like, if you want to do this, you want to know it's going to work. Okay. So the purpose of this journey, I just hope it can encourage somebody to get some sort of answers to questions and watch this play out in real time, because I've never done this before. And I'm just going to lay it all out there. It could backfire totally. I don't know. I'm just leaving it up to the Lord to say, hey, you do with this what you will. I pray every day that this makes me a better father. Not by nature of just the drugs making it better, but by nature of like me optimizing my body physically and mentally. Like, this is not about a physical body transformation, getting a six-pack and things like that. This is not about that. This is about the mental side of this, what it looks like to go through the anxiety of it, and to you know, see how this affects me mentally at home, at work, in my marriage, in my fatherhood, in my friendships, my relationships. Like, this is where we want to see where this is. You know, the physical stuff, if it happens, awesome. We'll see it, but I'm not worried about it. I want the mental side of this to be, and the social side of this to be better. So anyways, I'm going to stop this here. If you watched this far, I really do appreciate it. I hope we can continue this journey together, because I'm going to need the prayer. I'm going to need the support, wherever it's like, just I'm going to need it. It's very hard. Making this is very hard. I'm not great on camera, so this is just something I felt like I'm being led to do. So I'm just gonna give it my best and see where it goes. So thank you for watching, and then we'll check out the next one with the protocol of what's gonna happen. Thanks. Peace.